Hi everyone, Emma here. So we are going to do a leather wrap bracelet. It's going to be one single wrap, so that's one time around your wrist. I'm going to make this for my brother-in-law Peter, so his wrist size is 7.5. So normally I tell you when you're cutting your leather to figure out the wrist size and add about 1/4 inch, but I know for my brother-in-law, if I make it exactly 7.5 inches, it will fit him with a little bit of give so that it's not tight. So you have to take that into consideration. I do have a video. I have a lot of videos. There's a playlist for leather wrap bracelets, but there is a video showing you how to all the different aspects of making a leather wrap bracelet. So I'll try not to repeat it. It's hard not to when you do so many of these. But yeah, we'll try and get this through so it's really quick. So we're going to start with our supplies. You need some leather cord. I always use 2mm cord for leather wrap bracelets. This one is gray. It's really nice and soft. The reason we're doing this video is a big thank you to John Bead and to Carmi for sending me these 6/0 beads. So they are now packaging the 6/0 beads in these lovely 22-gram tubes. So you'll be able to get them at Michael's and other places that you buy your beads from. So yeah, we are going to use this color, opaque black Labrador half coat. It is really beautiful. And let's just enlarge this a bit. There we go. Yeah, so you need your beads. You can use whatever size beads you have. It will change how many you put together to create a bit of a width of your bracelet. You're going to need a button. I'm using Tiara Cast button. This is the Sacred Heart button. It's really lovely. It has a really nice shank so that you can get your 2mm leather through that super easy. So that's important. If you have a button that the hole is not big enough, you can take your bead reamer, if you have one, and use the lower part of your bead reamer to kind of get in there and open up the hole. So, but just to remember, if you're going to do that and then you go to put your leather in, take a scrap piece of leather first and slide it through, because there's going to be like this gray dust that's from the metal. You don't want to get that on your nice leather. So just use a scrap piece of leather. I'm going to show you how to do a barrel knot. I had to think about this. So I have one of these tube beads that I use for making barrel knots. You can use a plastic straw if you cut it. If you're going to order some of these beads, just make sure the inside circle or the opening is at least 2mm so that your leather can go through it. Like that. This one actually might be 3. Let's check, because I use this one all the time. It'd be nice if we knew exactly what it was. And it's kind of bent, so let me see here. That is saying 4 on that side, but you see how it's shorter on the side? I think this is a 3mm. Yes, that's compressed there and it's not here. So this is a 3mm. So definitely 3mm. You're laughing. It'll go through. If you don't have that, you can also like roll up some paper with some tape and use that. Just something that you can slide your leather in so that you can make your knot. You're going to need a sewing needle. Not a beading needle, a sewing needle. And I apologize, in some of my other videos, I do them so often, I forget that people don't realize you need a sewing needle, because we're going to use this Coates and Clark upholstery thread. This one is gray. Let me see if it says the color on it. No, it just has the number. So you can get these at Walmart. And if you look, they're no, of course they're upholstery. Let's bring this up a bit, and there we go. Upholstery thread. The reason I use this thread for my leather wrap bracelets is this will not break ever. It will not. And it doesn't wear out from wear because it's meant to go on couches and, heavy duty furniture stitching. So, yeah, this stuff's great. You can use other threads that you like to use. And yeah, it's fine. So with a leather wrap bracelet, if you're going to keep it for a long time, like years, you might want to rethread your beads as well. So if you're using something else that maybe picks up lint, like some of the wax threads picks up lint and hair and stuff like that, every once in a while you might want to rethread your work. So I'm using these flush cutters to cut my leather just to get a nice cut and not damage my scissors, and I've got my scissors to cut my thread. I also have a piece of waxed, so this might be one of the threads you use, and this is what I used to use in the past. And I'll tell you, if you have like semi-precious stones, this goes through once or twice. If you have to create another pass to do a knot or something like that, it gets really difficult because it's quite thick. And some of the ones that are really highly waxed will pick up all the lint and stuff. But because we're using these lovely 6/0 beads, the holes are bigger. Look at that. So you can use a thicker thread if you want. I'm going to use a bead tray, and this is an old ring tray, and I'm going to use it to put my work on it so that I can actually put the beads on. If you have like a tying station, you can use that as well. So let's start with cutting our leather. My rule of thumb for making a bracelet is cut 12 inches for every side of the bracelet. So this is, you're always going to have like two sides because you're going to put your beads in between the two sides. So you need two 12-inch lengths or like a 24. You're not going to cut a bunch of pieces. It's all going to be one piece. I need to be clear about that. But you also have to include 12 inches for your knots. Now, you'll probably have extra leather left over at the end, but I'll tell you, it makes it much easier at the end to make your little barrel knots and stuff like that. And that's why I buy my cord like this. Now, I get my leather cord from Exotica Leather. The prices are great, super cheap, and they come in spools like this. This is, there's a smaller one from this. I think this is 10 meters. So they actually sell them in 5 meters as well. And then, of course, they sell them in larger quantities. Usually I buy the larger one, but for colors that I'm not sure if I'm going to use it that much, I use this. So let's pull out. Got my my ciphering tool. There's 12, 24, and 36. So you probably won't need this much, but maybe for the first time, use this much and then decide how much you want to shave off the end. But it's actually not that much leather. So now we're going to find the midpoint, like that. And we're going to put our button on. So let's slide that on. Bring it all the way to the midpoint. Like that. I'm going to move my tray out of the way. It's bumping my elbow here. Okay, so now we are going to put a barrel knot here. So this is where you need your barrel knot tube. You're going to set it in between or just on top of the two pieces of leather. You're going to take one piece of leather, doesn't matter top or bottom, and you're going to wrap it. But when you wrap it, you're going to wrap it towards the button. So like hold it with these fingers here, wrap this way, and make sure it goes around that piece there. Wrap it a second time. I'm going to do 3 on this. It varies how many wraps you do. So I did 3. I'm coming through the bottom and I switched fingers. So you're always holding with your thumb and your index finger. So now I'm going to take the end of the cord that I wrapped around, put it through the tube like that, and you can see it's coming out. So you can actually pull this through and pull the tube right out like that. Now we need this to be up here, so we're just gonna, before we tighten it, it's nice and loose, and I'm still holding onto the tight part. Just wiggle it like that. Like that. And I will tell you, little tip here, when you're getting your knot there, rather than put your knot right up against the shank, if you put it on the side, then when you wear your bracelet, you're gonna see the button, because the other piece of the leather is gonna hook around it. But if you were to put this knot right there, this is what you would see, and it would sit like and poke your wrist. So, but it's up to you how you want to do that. So let's grab the cord that we wrapped, and we're going to pull that one tight till this is nice and snug. So just hang on to it with your fingers like that. There. Just like that. So now we're going to go down to the bottom, and you can see one end is shorter. That's the section that we made the knot with, the barrel knot. So you can actually see it ends up taking up quite a bit of leather cord. So we're just going to put a loose knot here, because this we're going to attach to our board. Just a nice kind of loose knot. You don't want it tight. You don't want it to indent your leather. So let's move this stuff over. This is where you're going to use this piece here. And you're going to wrap it like this around your button. And you're going to pop it over your tray. You're going to use like the narrowest part of the tray. So you're going to put it here like this. You're going to go to the back. And I apologize, this is hard to see because it's so big. Let me see if I can show you this part. So then take your white cord, put it through here where the knot is, and then bring it back up like this. And you can bring your cord all the way back around. Now I'm just going to pull it down a bit like that, and then take this piece here and wrap it around the button. So there's no knots. Let's make sure that stays in place. There. Just like that. And now we're going to start adding our beads. So we're going to grab a wingspan of your cord. A wingspan of this cord will actually do the full single wrap, which is great. There, and get my needle. So definitely a sewing needle is going to help you. You know what? This was sitting with this stuff. It doesn't look like a sewing needle to me, but we'll see. It's hard to thread your needle because you're using a really thick thread, not a beading thread. Let's see, I think that's got it. There we go. So let's just put a bunch through there like that. And we're set to go. Get our beads out. Our lovely opaque black Labrador half coat from John Bead. 6/0 beads. So I just put a bunch on the side. I don't think we'll need that much, but we'll see. So now to start with, what I do is I pick up one. First of all, because this is narrow here, we're going to start with 1 bead and then we're going to go to 2 beads. We could potentially do 3. We'll check where it's going with that. So take your first one. If you want, you can tie a knot in here on your left-hand cord. I don't. I'm going to show you my little trick. And part of this design is that there's no knots, but it will secure, everything's secure. So take your bead. So actually, we're going to take our cord and bring it around that left-hand leather, and we're going to pass it through the bead. So you can pass it through without a needle. So leave, I don't know, about 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters of cord, just enough to weave into your work. So let's pop that in there. I'm going to bring this down here just to get it out of the way. And then we're going to bring that as close up to the top as you can. Grab your needle. So right now, your needle and your thread is on the top side of both pieces of leather. So you're going to come around to the bottom side of your right-hand leather, and you're going to pass through the bead and come out on the bottom of the left leather cord. Pull it all the way through, and you're going to push it up right to the top. Let's get that nice and snug here. And I'm just going to, there. So there's your first one. Now we're going to pick up 2. So pick up 2 6/0 beads on your needle. Bring it down. You're going to lay it on top of your leather. You're going to go over the right-hand side, and you can take your fingers and push your beads through a little bit so that it exposes the holes underneath. And now we're going to go underneath through both beads and under the left-hand cord as well, like that. So I'll go slow for the next couple to show you, and then we'll go a little faster. Once you understand how they're attached, this goes really fast. And if this happens, you see the cords up there, just take your finger and pinch here and pull with the other side. Bring that up, pull. There is a little bit of figuring out your tension. You don't want it too tight because your beads will pop up, and you don't want it too loose that they're moving around. Okay, so let's grab 2 more beads. I think we'll do just the 2. It's a nice width like that. So you go over top of both pieces of leather, push your beads down, come in from behind everything. So you're going through the beads and under. And let's pull this one snug there. And then pull this through. And snug it up. Pick up 2 beads. I'm gonna just put that one aside. It looks a bit skinny. Excuse me, I have allergies. And I'm allergic to chlorine and I swam today. So there, you've got your 2 beads. You're going over top of your leather. Then go under, pass through the beads, both of them. Pull this snug like that. And then pull your thread through. And just give it a little tug there so it's nice and secure. Pick up 2 beads, bring it down, place them over top of your work. Oh, that's another skinny one. Let me grab a chubby one. It doesn't really matter, but I think it looks smaller because the way it's coated with this silver. So you go over top, go through the 2 beads, oops, and under the left hand side, pull that, make sure it's nice and snug. Pull this through and pull that in. I'll try and go a little faster. So these are really quick to make. So they're great for if you're doing a craft sale. Everybody loves leather bracelets. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I give them out at Christmas and stuff like that. And yeah, people just love them. 2. So you're going to keep doing this till the length. Now, I'm going to explain something about the length because that's kind of a loaded statement here. So if your person has a 7.5 inch wrist, now we're counting like a 1/4 inch on top of that to give it a little bit of movement. So say they're 7 1/4 and then you add the 1/4. So now they're 7.5. You're going to measure from the middle of your button to the end of your second knot. So once we get done all this, we're going to put a knot. So you want to have an idea how long this knot is. So let me get my ruler. Let's take a look. So that's 1/4 inch. So remember that you need 1/4 inch. So if we're talking 7.5 from the middle of the button, the shank, to the end of your beads, you need 7 1/4. So it takes it, actually, let me measure this thing. Okay, that's way too far. If I move this up, actually, I'll be able to tell you exactly. So move that up a bit. So yeah, so now where my 7 1/4 mark is at the bottom of the tray. So this is how much, you can see, this is how many beads we have to put in. Now, I would highly recommend you measure. So you might want to measure against your wrist by doing something like this, or take it off and measure it exactly on the wrist. Or if you have a mandrel, that's even better. So there's the 7 1/4 mark. Measure it on that. Because there's nothing worse. You go to give somebody a leather wrap bracelet, it's too tight. I've done that so many times. And part of the reason is people will say to me, oh, this is my wrist size, but it's not their wrist size. So I always carry a size up and a size down in a bracelet so that doesn't happen, because it's happened so many times. Not friendship. There. So we'll just keep going. I have my very first leather wrap bracelet. If you didn't see the unboxing of the different colors of these 60 beads from John Bead, I showed my very first leather wrap bracelet that I made. And this is to tell you that they last forever if you take care of them. Don't wear them in the shower. I used to do workshops for the yoga studios on leather wrap bracelets, and they used to wear them in the shower. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're like, oh, it doesn't, because I would offer to do free stringing of your bracelets. And I just asked that you do a donation to the food bank. And I'd get people's bracelets, and it's like, why is it like so messed up? They're like, oh, well, I use it in the shower when we go swimming. I'm like, don't you take your other jewelry off when you go, when you get wet? Oh, well. I think because they feel like leather's an organic element that they can, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. So let me show you, in case you didn't see it. This is my original leather wrap braces. This was, it's funny. I knew how to do barrel knots. Actually, I did these without one of these tube situations. You can see I use the 60 beads, and these are blue Picasso. Oh, they're so beautiful. And then there's my second loop around, and this is my third with but yeah, so I didn't know how to do a barrel knot at the end, which is weird. I don't know. But hey, it's lasted. So yeah, these are fun to make. And as for the buttons, I get a lot of questions about the buttons. I have had a hard time finding buttons that have a large shank that you can put your leather through. I used to have no problems, but I had a Etsy shop that I used to use all the time, and I don't think she's in business. Every once in a while I'll do a search for her, and it was called Bear Creek Supplies. If you've ever heard of it, let me know, because every once in a while, like, I'll do a search for that company name and stuff. She had really beautiful pewter buttons, but I don't spend much time on Etsy anymore. I used to get a lot of stuff there. But what I was going to say is Tierra cast buttons are great because they, that's why they made these. They're made for leather and stuff. So because they're no longer in business, you can still buy Tierra cast buttons, from bead shops that have old stock. So I just actually, the Northern Bead Company here in Canada, and they ship to the US and they ship abroad as well. I just bought 20 buttons of skulls buttons. So you can do that. If you have any suggestions on where to buy, quality buttons for this type of application, that'd be awesome to let me know. There are some buttons that you can get on AliExpress that are questionable what the metal is. It's a mixture. But I have used those. If you're concerned of what the metal is, you could always coat them with some resin or some acrylic varnish. I've done that before. I've actually painted the buttons and they look amazing. And then I just coat them with a protective sealant so that none of the metal gets through your skin. So, there we go. Getting there, about halfway there. There. I will be doing some more leather wrap bracelets, maybe some double wrap, but I have all of those tutorials out there and I have a playlist that you can check out. It's called Leather Wrap Bracelets. I actually have a couple. Here's the other thing you can use for buttons is pennies or coins. So pennies are no longer in circulation here in Canada. So we can use pennies and you can buy I think they call it a hole punch, and it's a little metal bar and it has slots in it that you slide the penny in, and there's a vise that turns and it puts a hole in the penny. Those are super cheap. They're like $10. Actually, the Northern Bead Company sells one of those. You can get them on Amazon too. So that's another way. And you can, if you have a dapping block that has like a rounded scoop type bowl, you can round your button as well. You don't have to, but when you're putting your needle through on the bottom side, be careful not to poke your leather. It happens. There. Getting there. Well, this is going to be lovely. It's birdie. So my sister and brother-in-law, they live in Ontario. I live in Nova Scotia, and they'll watch my videos together on TV. So every once in a while, when I do something, when I either mention their name or do a bracelet for them, they're like, "Oh, I love my new bracelet." Like, I gotta remember to send it to you. I think I did a bracelet for my sister recently. But we've had a mail strike. Ugh. So, this is lovely. Okay, I'm going to continue. I will pause the camera and you can see we're almost at the end. So I'll go to here, measure it, and I'll take it off so you can see. We'll put a knot and the closure. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So let me just show you. Up to there. So now I'm going to show you how to finish your thread without, huge knots everywhere. We are going to create a knot, but it's going to be concealed, so you won't see it, but you know that that's going to stay where it needs to stay. So normally we go under the left leather. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it back up this way. And the reason I'm doing that is I am going to do, actually, no, you know what? Let's do it the other way. Because you see how it popped up? We don't want to have that. Let's bring it back. I was trying to get fancy on you. Don't be fancy. Just get it done. Okay, so we're going to go up and across. So we're going to go over the two leather cords, but we're going to go through these beads. So you just use your finger to gently push the beads up a bit so that your needle's not poking your leather. I always hold my beads so they don't move anywhere. So it's going to look like that. So now we're going to go back around. And I'm going to come up there like this. Okay. And I'm going to bring my needle underneath both of those pieces of thread. I don't know where this is hard to see in gray. Let's see here. I want it to go in between the two. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. So you're basically your needle is kind of lifting those two cords. We're going to take our thread and we're going to loop it around here, around our needle, so you can kind of see where it is now. Put your finger there and bring your needle through like this. And that's your knot, like this. And we're going to go back through those two beads, coming on top this time, because normally when we go that way, we go under that. And we are going to go up so the thread is going over that angled thread, and we're going to come up through the bottom of the two beads just above, like that. And now we're going to come up at the top here, like that. Pull that snug. We're going to do the same here. We're going to bring our needle underneath the thread bridges here. We're going to create a loop with our thread, which is going to make a knot. And we'll go under this time because we need to go around that leather. Let's see where we're at here. It's hard to do. I have a camera and like lighting in front of me, so it's a little hard. And you know what? This needle is really short. It should be, you should be using a longer needle. There. Okay, so grab your cord, grab it like that, push your needle through, and pull it tight. It's going to pop into the bead. Then you're just going to take your cord and go underneath and through those beads. And we're done. We'll do the same on the top so you get a chance. I'll be able to take it off the board then so you can see. It's a little harder now to pop those beads down because everything's snug. Let's see if I can, there we go. that through. There. So there, like, it doesn't look like a whole bunch of knots everywhere, and that's the whole point of this. Just cut that like that. You can put a bit of glue in those beads. It's not necessary. I don't do it anymore. I used to. But if you're concerned, definitely go ahead. So now let's take this off. Just slide it off the side of your board. Put that aside. You can take your knot out. And you can uncurl that just by passing it through your fingers. And we're going to take this cord off. So I reuse this cord. It's just some 1mm wax cord with a knot in it to create a loop, like a circle. Okay, so let's grab this guy. Like that. This is lovely. So let's see if we can thread this side. There. That. Okay, so you're on the left side here, so we're going to go ahead and actually we can just turn it. Let's go like, I'm going to go to the front so we can follow the thread path. So this one goes on an angle down, so we're going to copy that. Let's go. We're going to go underneath the leather, but down one. Go through the two beads and under the left hand leather. So you can see it went through that. Pull that like that. And now we're going to make a knot. So we want this thread bridge here. So our thread's coming around the bottom side. We're going to go to the top. Let me move that thread out of the way. So we'll grab both pieces of thread. Careful not to poke your leather. There, like that. Take your leather, your thread, wrap it around once, and pull it as close to your cord as possible. Put your thumb on it so that it doesn't move around. Grab your needle, pull it down so the knot went. You can kind of see it right there inside. So now we can go in here. Just try to go sidestep that knot and go on the top. And when you pull it in, it will pop in there and it will also tighten that knot. You can cut it right here if you want, or you can go one more time down through the back of the third set of beads. Ow. And that's it for that one. Let's cut. Be careful you don't cut your other threads. I have done that. That is so sad. So there is. Let's take a look at the measurement here. Let me open this up a bit. So like I said, go to the midpoint of the button. I did it slightly smaller. I guess it is a quarter. So I did measure it correctly. Now we're going to put a barrel knot here. So when you do your barrel knots on this end, take a look at your cord. Take the longer cord to do your barrel knot. You'll end up finishing with one shorter than the other because we're actually doing it 3 times. So we've got our 2 pieces close together. Grab our barrel knot. pinch it with your thumb and index finger, grab the longer cord. So we can come around from this end if you want. You can do it this way too. 1, 2, 3, and change fingers. So move to the other hand, grab with this one, put it through the tube, change fingers again, grab your cord and your rail knot. Got it really tight there, like that. Take that off, pull that through. Now we want this. Oh, we forgot. You can do like a single bead at the bottom. I forgot about that. It's not necessary, but sometimes what it does is it prevents these guys from folding on each other. So, and I'm going to enlarge this a bit for you. And grab the cord that we use to make our loop and hang on to your knot and pull like that. Now you see how one is angled down? That's this one here. So what you want to do is you want to move this out a bit so that they're kind of equal like that, and just double check your knot again so that it's nice and snug. There. So I put 4 wraps with this, even though I counted 3, and if you see here I only did 3. So it's up to you what you want to do, how many times around. So now you can see they're the same length. So this part here, we're going to put another barrel knot to create our closure for the button to fit in. So because these are oval buttons, you only have to put enough space for that. Now, the other thing is you're not sure of the size of the person. So say you're doing a craft show and you want to do, like, you'll do some 7-inch, 7 1/4, 7 1/2, that kind of thing. Or you can always put 2 openings. So we'll put a barrel knot here. You could do another opening here and then another barrel knot. And that way, if the person decides, okay, well, this is my length, I'll just cut those off. You could do it that way if you want. I prefer to just have the sizes exactly. So just there's, pop that on there, 2 and 3. So you see there's not a lot of cord left, even with that amount. Now we're going to move this over because this is way too big right now. So push your leather through, push your tube, hold on to your barrel knot. Look, you can see it got loose there. Pull that out. And let's move this up. That still doesn't need to be that big. There. So now one's shorter than the other. Not a big deal. Now, you can cut these here and maybe put a dab of glue E6000 in that knot so that these don't come loose. What I like to do is little tassels. If the people don't like the tassels, they can cut them off. But in the meantime, let's go for it. But here's the thing with these, you need a lot of cord to do that. So you can see we're just like, there's not going to be any cord left on this one. So this one here, you only do once around. Come up through the bottom, pop that in, gets a little tight there. And there's your knot, bring it down a bit, maybe about there. And these ones here at the bottom, you want to make sure that they're super tight because you don't want them to come off. There's one. The next one we'll make a little longer. We have more cord, so we can. So that's one. That one's getting in my way. 1, 2, like that. I think that's too many times around. See how this works out. It's funny, I find sometimes the smaller ones like this, I get confused. It's loud. Oh look, I pulled my tube out too quick. So put this here. I like to stagger them slightly. So there. That's it for those two. And this is what I use my flush cutters. So I'm going to leave just a little bit of a nub there. Open that up for you. So just in case it works its way down like that. And the last one. That. And look at that. How is that? So I hang on to these. Sometimes you can use these to do earrings. Like this one you can't. But if you were reaming out your hole for your bead, you could use this to get rid of all the smudge from the filings. Yeah, you could do, something like this. An earring and a pearl. So there you go. We are done. This lovely bracelet. Oh. Let's see what we have here. Turn that way. And get that in there. Like that. And you have this lovely bracelet with these awesome beads from John Bead. So these are the 6O beads in the 22-gram tubes. Opaque black Labrador half coat. Is this nice or what? Let me see what this looks like on. Oh yeah. Now my wrist is super small. And let me put it on just to show you. My wrist is mega small. I used to get like strands of check glass beads, and they come in 25s and 50s, and I would get so excited I could get a couple of bracelets out of a 25. And it's like, and then I'd make bracelets for other people. I'm like, how come it's not fitting? So there you go. Turned out really nice. There. So thanks for joining me, and big huge thank you to John Bead for these lovely access to these beads. This is awesome. So take care. Let me know if you make a leather wrap bracelet, if you've ever made one before. We'll see what kind of new fun things we can do with these beads. There you go. Take care. Bye.